Welcome to another lecture on LDO design. In today's quick lecture, we will talk about the various notations used in the LDO design, especially with respect to what are the inputs, what are the outputs, and other information. So here, let me quickly redraw an example of the LDO design so that we can go through. So here we have the error amplifier and the output driving the power fed PMOS. The feedback circuit made up of two resistors R1 and R2. The power fed can be written as MP. The input and the power supply is given over here. This is your feedback present annotated with VFB. You have your input or the reference input coming here. The reference input can come from two places. One could be your band gap reference and its output. Another could be an RDAC where you have a VREF coming out. So the naming convention that we will follow is VREF. At any time that we mention VREF anywhere in the lecture, you can associate that with one of the two inputs, either from a BGR or an RDAC, and this would be an VREF. How would this referred be? You would typically define this with a muxed input, analog mux, where you have the BGR output to be one of the circuits, one of the inputs of the mux. Second one would be RDAC. RDAC is basically an R divider, R ladder, where you select one of the taps to provide the output. So this would be a VREF, and the select line is given by VREF cell or VREF select. So this would essentially become your VREF to your input block. The names assigned here could be VREF, BGR, and this can be called as VREF RDAC. Now, next we will see the input to the LDO. So the input to the LDO is typically your power supply input. Here, this can be given as either called V supply or it can be called as V in, or in many cases it is called VDD. All three inputs will correspond to this input, which is your supply input to the source of the PMOS device present here. Next comes the R output, which is your regulated power supply. The regulated power supply can have the names like VREG, VO, Vout, among others. So each one would be the regulated power supply, regulated output of the LDO. Here the regulation will come from the linear voltage regulator or the low dropout regulator output, and the input will be given at this point. So these are the various notations that we would use in the lectures going forward. If you have any questions, please write to me.